I feel like we might be thrown off because our hair's blowing. Is your hair okay?
It's fleek.
Doug Lesmerises, Ari Wasserman, Bill Landis talking about the back end of the Ohio State defense as we break down different position groups in advance of Saturday's spring game. Basically, two guys we're talking about replacing with the back seven. Curtis Grant at middle linebacker, Duran Grant at corner. At that corner spot, Bill, you talked to Garyon Conley. He seems like the guy that the coaches are talking about as the guy they expect to win that job. He's leading it now. Does he seem like a guy who thinks he's going to win that job?
He does. He spoke on Saturday after the Student Appreciation Day practice, and I think the big thing with Garyon Conley is his confidence. He said he didn't have much of it last year. Kerry Combs seems to think that he has it this year, and Garyon kind of said the same thing. Last year against Michigan State, he was kind of thrown into the fire a bit. He had to start because Eli Apple had a sore hamstring, and 2 plays into the game, he got burned by Keith Mumphrey for a 44-yard touchdown, and then 3 plays after that, he got ran over by Mumphrey on I think a 25-yard touchdown reception, and then he was pulled out of the game and didn't start again. So it was a rough start for him, but I think he's put that behind him. He's put on some weight. He's 190 pounds now. He came in at 168 pounds, which is pretty ridiculous for a Division I football player. But he's bigger now. He feels more confident, and I think he's playing. He's playing at the size he is, if that makes sense. I think it took him a while to realize how big he was now, and now that he knows that and he can use that to his advantage, he's playing more confident.
The rest of the secondary is set. Eli Apples going to be the other starting corner. He was confident even before he played. Now he has a year of starting under his belt. The safeties, Von Bell and Tyvis Powell, they couldn't be more confident. And Cam Burrows, I think, is going to be the nickelback, and he's a guy I think is a pretty good player. Came in as a corner, moved to safety, is a great fit at nickel. He's just blocked by some other guys at safety. So at linebacker, Ari, Joshua Perry's back, Darren Lee is back. The guy who we did see some last year, but we're going to see a lot of this year is Raekwon McMillan. Is there anything fans should be concerned about with him? He played a lot. What's he going to do now?
I think the biggest thing that when you look back at a lot of the 5-star prospects Ohio State brought in at linebacker, and there's been a few since 2006. It's taken most of them, if not all of them, a few years to acclimate enough to even get onto the field, let alone, play as a freshman. So, of course, Curtis Grant, a senior who was one of those 5-star guys that took a while to develop, kind of took the reins a little bit of that position at the end of last year, and really came into his own. So it kind of took Raekwon out of the playing position, but the fact that he was on the field, the fact that he was making plays, he had forced fumbles, he had a touchdown, he wasn't held back by that freshman hesitance that we've seen a lot in the past. So, of course, he's still going to be a young player, and he's going to probably make mistakes, and he still has to get his body completely to the point that they want it to be. But the fact that he played as well as he did as a freshman maybe makes it seem like he might be the next great Ohio State linebacker. And there's pretty good ones on those other ends, too. So that should be a pretty solidified position for Ohio State this year.
I think the linebackers are going to be good. I agree. Joshua Perry, I think, is a guy who was solid last year. I think he wants to make a few more plays, work on his pass rush. I think he has room to grow. And Darren Lee, his first year playing, was a playmaker, and he was still learning the ropes. He's a high school quarterback who had redshirted the year before. So to think about what he did is kind of crazy. And I think something that we've need to discuss at all these positions is I think they have some depth here too. Chris Worley, Dante Booker, Cameron Williams are your second-team linebackers. I think those are pretty good backup linebackers. Eric Smith at safety. The guys battling Garyon Conley, Damon Webb and Marshawn Lattimore, they're young, but they're big-time recruits. I think this is a position group on the back end where they have guys with experience. They have guys who can make some plays, and I think they have some other guys ready that if something goes wrong, they might have some guys ready to fill in. So he's Ari, I'm Doug, this is Bill. We're going to be talking Ohio State position groups all week, building up to Saturday's spring game, 1:30 at Ohio Stadium. Thanks, as always, for watching and for reading here at cleveland.com.